All right.
All right.
Hello.
Hi. Bonjour.
Hello?
Hello.
What do you? Welcome.
Welcome.
There it is.
Knock, knock.
Yeah. That's how we normally start the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, guys. This is episode 143. And
70,001.
And it's all live.
and it's all yes, we're making Nate below us angry by moving around. No. Today's podcast, we're going to talk about recovery and feeling good, right? Feeling great.
That's right.
So if you
Yep.
just drink a lot of alcohol, you feel great. It numbs everything.
So best combo is alcohol, cigarettes, and all-nighters.
Ooh.
Cocaine, so that's a good one.
That'll keep you up all night.
Yeah, it'll suppress your appetite as well.
That's
Yeah.
good for to get shredded.
I had a friend once that was like, I'm just going to get on meth. Have you ever seen a fat meth head? I was like, good point. And they're like, yeah, I'm really going to do that. I need to lose about 30 pounds. I was like, well, that's cool. You lose 30 pounds and gain an addiction. That's great. But no, we're going to talk about recovery. I think with CrossFit, not necessarily gets a bad name in this instance, but it gets a lot of flack and not like the injury side of things. That's a whole different topic that we talked about. But I think it's just that you're always sore. Like I have a cup that says never not sore that someone had made for like coffee cups or whatever. Which the soreness thing, that's aside. But recovery on keeping your joints healthy, keeping your muscles loose and those kinds of things help a lot. But also, like we were chatting before the podcast, you got your blood results in and we're just chatting about different ways of maybe optimizing testosterone, maybe optimizing just cortisol levels, optimizing a lot of those things just by everyday habits and health and stuff like that. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's not talked about in CrossFit gyms. I was having a conversation yesterday, and there's a reason it's not talked about. It's not because it's taboo or anything like that. It's just because of time. I was talking with a member yesterday. It was I know we talked about not whatever. I was talking to Oz, and he was saying something like he feels bad because he's kind of interjecting himself into the podcast. And I told him, no, that's what we want. We want interaction. We want people to give us like suggestions on what to talk about and those kinds of things. But I also told him like the main reason that I wanted to do this podcast is because whenever we have a class, it's all right, guys, come in, let's do a warm up. Here's the weightlifting. Here's what we're doing. Here's form checks. Here's the workout. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Hey, fix this. Hey, do that, whatever. All right, class is over. See you guys tomorrow. That's generally how a class goes. And there's really no extra time to be like, hey, guys, come over to the whiteboard. We're going to have a lecture for the next 20 minutes because no one signs up to get fit by going and listening to someone talk in a way of like for a gym membership. So like if you're wanting more knowledge, yes, you go do that. But if not, then you're wanting to just go in and get a good workout in. So it's that's part of the reason I started the podcast forever ago with Lambert and wanted to continue with you guys. Is just an extended conversation that we can have so that other people can step away. And I think recovery is something that's kind of mentioned but not really dived into because we don't have time.
And it's not sexy.
Yes, you're exactly right. It's
No
the
one
most
wants to
boring
do
thing.
it.
It's the most boring thing. Like I'd rather be doing a bike interval sweating for 30 minutes than laying on a foam roller for 10 minutes or something, you know.
But like, what's his, Herc, when he used to come here,
Herkimer, yeah.
he lived by it. He's like, dude, if I don't do this, I wake up the next day and everything hurts.
Yeah.
He does 15, 20 minutes after a workout. He's money.
Yeah. So like my knees have been pretty jacked up for a couple years now. And I was working with a PT and doing a whole bunch of different stuff. And I've really found doing a few of the PT exercises, but also just really stretching my quads afterwards and foam rolling makes my knees feel so much better. I did that for like 2 or 3 days straight and I felt like I had brand new knees. And I haven't for the last 2 days like we did. We came up and did some back squats on Saturday and we didn't stretch at all, didn't do anything afterwards, went straight to
cold
eat.
in here too.
And then Sunday I didn't do anything, got in the sauna, but I didn't stretch or anything. Monday I woke up, my knees were hurting. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I've got to get back on this. But anyway, I think you're right. I think it's not the sexy thing. It's not the thing that will give you the, like when you're dripping sweat and out of breath laying on the floor, you feel like you did something, you accomplished something. But when you're just laying on the floor stretching and you know, it's you don't feel that.
So I always try to do like
say,
accessory
dude?
work, like with stretching. Like
Yeah.
do some curls and go do a 30-second stretch. But dialing in more on nutrition for me I don't stretch nearly half as much as I did where I was having knee pain. So I don't know. Go ahead. I know you're probably going to touch on something along those lines of.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, you don't win anything by, or at least you don't feel like you're winning anything. You don't get that, those endorphins that you get when you exercise.
When you do a workout.
Mm-hmm. So
There
probably why it's not, seen as quite as fun.
Yeah, it's just not. Yeah, you don't have the endorphins, like you said, afterwards of accomplishment, I guess you could say, after the workout or after stretching and stuff. But I think for recovery, there's a bunch of stuff that we've talked about in class. Carlos, you brought up right before the podcast, which I don't do it ever, and it's not because I don't want to. It's just because I just sometimes forget, whatever. But it's the ROM wad that we have. They changed their name to like pliability or something. Yeah, I don't.
Oh, really?
I was gonna butcher
I know.
that.
I got the email, and then I started noticing it was different when it would, because I get a notification saying like this next week's ROM wad is up, but I got something that was like pliability something.
So it's not a wad anymore.
No, I wonder.
So
if,
they're trying to step away from CrossFit.
That's what I was going to say. I wonder if they're trying to get away from that. But anyway, yeah. So ROM wad we subscribe for is through the gym. If you guys don't know, it's on Sugar Wad. It should be normally at the very bottom. It's like a 20 to 30 minute. I think it's like 20 to 22 minutes of a follow along, focus on breathing, stretching routine, and it's different every day. Thursdays, I can't remember what they call it, but it's like I think it's 40 minutes. It's double what you do. Because that's a lot of what we talked about in the past. That's a lot of CrossFitters day off or recovery days Thursday. So it's just like an extra stretch time. But I like the idea of what you said, Carlos, like the top 5, not necessarily like a top 5 because I honestly don't know what my top 5 are, but I think we could talk about top things that we do to kind of help out with recovery. And then just kind of drop some emphasis on some things versus others. For me, it's just adequate stretching. My lats are super tight to go overhead. So if I've never been able to get that to loosen up no matter how much stretching I do. And I don't know if that's just consistency or not, but for my knees, if I do continually stretch my quads and foam roll them to make sure I get the knots and stuff to kind of relax, I can feel better there. Hamstrings I've always had tight. I feel like my things that are like tight, that are just always tight, not pulling on any joints, I can't get them to relax. But like my quads, I can get them to relax from my knees. I've done a plethora of recovery things over the years, and I can go into detail on that here in a little bit. But I think the main thing for me is just stretching and eating.
Like, do you have like a rule of thumb for, like, you train for an hour versus you train for an hour and a half or 2 hours? What do you put in? Like
I know what you mean. Like if I work out for an hour, then I need to stretch for 10 minutes. If I work out for 2 hours, and you stretch for 20 minutes.
Like, do you just go with feel?
I just go with feel.
Okay.
So I try to yeah. I was saying I just try to hold for certain periods of times on certain stretches that I found that works. That's what's for me. You, Adrian, you don't stretch, right?
I don't do anything, and I was just gifted with the gift of perfect form.
Your snatches here lately have been.
I was going to mention that.
Positioning has been perfect.
No, he had a little bit of shoulder hink there. This is what I wanted to go in with what he did, and I kind of do similar things with understanding your body. Like, your shoulder hurt yesterday, you weren't 100% going into shoulder presses.
Yeah. I mean,
you're going to see how it feels, and I mean that's a part of our recovery process, is knowing when we should back off on a workout or postpone, like, whatever the strength is or the workout that's biased. Like, we had a couple people that were like, came up to me this morning and were like, "Hey, I'm going skiing later. Like, what should I do in place of thrusters?" I was like, "Push press."
Yeah, today's a lot of legs.
I was like, "You can do push press, lay off your legs." I was like, I'd be more concerned of how you're going to feel tomorrow if you want to ski. So. Yeah, recovery is also like just active recovery, right?
Yeah. Do you do any stretching at home? Any kind of anything?
No. But I probably should. I most likely should. I guess, I don't know. The key things for me are just like eating and sleeping and hydration. And then just, learning like when to back off if things don't feel the way they're supposed to. I started going back to the chiropractor lately, just to make sure everything is, aligned.
Is he doing like adjustments and stuff on your hips and back? Okay.
Yeah.
Because like Nate, he's a chiropractor, but I don't think I've ever been adjusted by him. He mainly does ART and dry needling.
He does my SI joint.
Does he?
Done before for me.
So I wasn't sure what kind of a chiro, specific
The kind
was.
that jumps on me until
I
I
like it.
I feel like I got hit by a train.
Yeah, but you feel great.
Yeah, you feel good. Yeah, but I definitely think that some stretching wouldn't hurt for sure.
Yeah, I think I just because I know you and just the conversations we've had over the time, I think there's certain. I'll come full circle. I think there's certain things that we prioritize for recovery that may not seem as, I guess, mainstream for recovery, like saunas, ice baths, stretching, foam rolling, yoga, maybe walks, hiking, like simple hikes, like low impact cardio for a long period of time. I feel like those are a lot of what people mainly think of when they think recovery. I think we all do something slightly different that kind of we found that helps. Carlos, you like to do a lot of like supplements, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean like collagen and a lot of stuff like that you found that helps. For me, I feel like it's a mixture of all the above, and I feel like for Adrian, it's a little bit of supplements, but also a lot of food. I think that for the people that feel the best and perform the best, that feel the best all the time, I think those are the people that kind of nail all of them. Nutrition, we've talked about on the nutrition podcast. I feel like that plays maybe we just dive into each one and talk about it. I think maybe we've already talked about nutrition pretty well, but I think that there is something to say of getting adequate amounts of protein. Do you track anything ever? Mm-mm. So you just kind of eat intuitively, like you just eat a ton of protein like sources?
Sure, yeah. So priority is always protein in every single meal, and then just whatever comes with it. If it's like just a steak, then I'll add some carbs, which could be potatoes, rice, sweet potatoes.
Gotcha.
Or fruits.
Just keep it simple.
Yeah. Keep it simple, stupid. No.
But priority is always on protein, whether it's like meat, cheese, or meat, dairy. Fish or eggs.
Yeah, and the reason why I bring that up is because protein is the building blocks of our muscle tissue. That's what's going to help rebuild it. I don't know if this is a good analogy or not, or if it makes sense, but I always use, if you have a pothole in a street and you're trying to get it back to level with the road, that's where you eat your protein. You're going to refill that pothole and it's going to be cleaned up and it's going to be smooth. If you want to get a big bump on there, like say you want to add a bump in the street, then you want to eat tons of carbohydrates because that's going to help build that. So like if you're trying to build muscle, carbohydrates are going to be your friend. Fat is going to be the fuel source that you're going to feel energy through. Protein is what's going to repair the muscle and repair joints because of like the collagen that you get slightly from the meats, some of the meats, but mainly like creatine you get from some of the meats, those kinds of things, depending on like red meat. But I think that for me, whenever I undereat for calories and for protein and for other stuff like that throughout the week, I tend to feel more sore.
Yeah, for sure.
No matter how much volume I do, if I do just an hour or if I do a couple hours, if I do a ton of accessory work, if I undereat, I always feel sore.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that probably 95% of people do not eat enough protein.
Yeah. Every person I've ever worked with nutrition, they've all told me that.
Yeah. Oh, it's too much. I can't do it. And for me, working with clients, it's simple as, how many eggs do you eat in the morning? 2?
Yeah.
Like, how is that even filling?
Yeah, I
think just add 1 egg. So
I'm curious about the eggs thing just because of like how they compared eating an egg to smoking a cigarette. That was like a study that was done that was like, it was like come out a few years back, but it was probably like 10 years ago. But it was like, they're like, yeah, if you eat an egg a day, it's equivalent to smoking a cigarette a day.
I mean, you just saw my cholesterol is 159. I eat 6 eggs a day.
Yeah. It's my cholesterol's fine too, and I eat 5. So, and this guy eats a lot. He eats a lot of eggs a day. But anyway, and then it came out later that the study more or less was fudged a certain way to make it fit the narrative they're trying to fit. But anyway, I think just that's the reason why a lot of people don't eat as many eggs.
Just hold on, if people didn't get the point here, eggs are safe. They're extremely nutritious.
Yes.
And they don't give you like the misconception of it. They're dairy. Like when people are like, "Oh, I'm lactose intolerant. I can't have eggs." I'm like, they're not part of the dairy.
There's no lactose. There's no lactose in eggs, and it's one of the best, if not the best source of protein.
Yeah, protein
in
and
terms
fat.
of like amino acid profile and bioavailability. So eggs are amazing, and eat the yolk.
Yes.
Very important. Eat the yolk. That's where all the good vitamins are.
So to kind of lean into that a little bit, I eat 5 eggs, but I only eat 3 of the egg yolks. I do 2 egg whites, and I've played with all the above. And the reason why I do that, I've done in the past where I do 5 whole eggs, didn't change anything else in my diet, didn't change anything else, and my fat marker on the body scan started going up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was over the course of like 3 months, but it started going up. It went from about 11% to about 13%.
Wow.
So it made a big jump. So I pulled it back down to 2, and I was kind of like eyeballing how much fat I was eating a day. And the problem was because I was eating a ton of carbs a day, and then also adding that, it increased my amount of fat that I was eating a day to a lot. So I had to pull that back. So it's not saying only eat egg whites because egg yolks are bad, but for me, I had to balance the two because I was eating around 120 grams of carbs in my breakfast. And then upping that fat really upped up how much I was getting per meal. So I had to pull that back, and it made a big difference. But yeah.
I think if you're going to do the most nutritious way to eat them is poached. The science behind
raw.
that. Well, yeah, raw, but still raw, you're not getting as much.
I used to drink them.
The raw part is the egg yolk. I don't know, the cardiovascular MD dude. He talks about eating the yolk of
Carnivore MD.
Yeah, he talks about just eating the yellow part. He doesn't eat the
white.
No. He's like, that's the most nutritious part. Like
if you're
trying to get nutrient dense.
Yeah, but it's like I'm eating 3 whole eggs, so I'm fine. You know what I mean? In my eyes, that's what I found works best. But that's why I'm saying like it's not necessarily this is the end all be all. Like make sure but yes, don't do like 5 egg whites and nothing else because the yolk does have a ton of nutrients and a ton of things.
Yeah, I think the point is more that like if anyone is scared or worried about eating the yolk because there's cholesterol, and that's what I guess eggs get a lot of bad rap for.
Yeah.
All that has been debunked. Don't forget that cholesterol is what you make a lot of hormones from. Testosterone being one of them.
For males and females.
It's like kind of demonized. It's not a negative thing.
And also, obviously, not like a nutritionist by any means here, but it's also been shown that the impact of the cholesterol that you actually inject on your levels of cholesterol in your body is very, very, very like insignificant. Most of the cholesterol you have in your body, actually you produce it. And it could be like a consequence of inflammation or other things. But it's the impact of food on your cholesterol levels is actually insignificant.
Being active or inactive, doesn't matter.
Inactive what?
Like if you're sedative or you being active and you're physically active versus not.
Yeah, it's the same.
So do you produce the cholesterol because like through the foods you eat, or is it produced through a gland?
Yeah, you produce it. I don't know exactly how it's been produced, but you produce it, and it's not because of what you eat.
I'll dive into that a little bit. I did not know that. But yeah, so all that being said, kind of to bring it back to the recovery, like a recovery side of things, getting adequate amounts of protein, start there. That's going to be your biggest help on recovery and feeling good, feeling like you're recovered, those kinds of things. Making sure that you prioritize, like you said, Adrian, prioritize that. Like I notice that whenever we eat, because you get steak literally for every meal, including breakfast, which is mind blowing because you like to eat steak that much. But you always eat your steak first and you eat everything else. That's not to say that everybody has to follow that same rule, but it is to, like, if you get your plate of food and you have like a protein source, a carb source, those kinds of things, for whatever reason, we always kind of dip into the carb source or whatever, and then we end up getting full and we still have some protein left over. So it's kind of like just prioritizing protein, I would say, over the 3 macros, because that one is going to be what's going to help you recover the most. The other 2, I think, is what's going to help you gain or lose fat, but also gain or lose muscle in a way of like recovery. And
it's also, when you eat more protein, it's going to reduce like the feeling to keep eating.
Yes,
your satiety. You're gonna feel full. You're gonna have less cravings. So, and the other thing I would do is if you're prioritizing protein when you're eating your meal, I would prioritize 2 is limiting yourself drinking while you're eating.
Like drinking water?
Yeah, like,
you know what's funny?
Kind of wait till after you eat. Or
growing up, my grandma would not let me touch my drink until after I was done with my food. I don't remember where I was eating with someone, and they're like, "You gonna have your drink?" I was like, "Yeah, I just haven't got to it yet." Because my grandmother would not let us drink our drinks. Like, obviously, like, get little sips here and there if you need it.
Yeah, but then instead of pounding water, it just fills you up, and then you don't eat your full meal.
Exactly, because that's what we were having this conversation. Like, she wouldn't let us leave the table if we didn't eat all of our food. Adrian got locked up in a wine cellar. That's a serious statement. But, you know.
Was it like peas and broccoli or something?
It's what they do over in Europe. No, but I think it's just, limiting yourself on your drinks. But anyway, so the food side of things is very important. I do feel the most sore whenever I don't get enough protein. I don't get enough calories. I'm sounds like you guys are the same way. Mm-hmm. So I think being able to kind of narrow that one in is really just going to help all the way around. Next thing I would say would be stretching.
Yeah, I was going to go into like what are like let's hit like shoulders, hips, like common issues we have in CrossFit and the stretches you should focus in on.
Before stretching, I would probably put like on the same level as eating. I would put sleep and hydration.
Yeah, we can dive into that first.
You can stretch as much as you want. If you don't get enough sleep, you're gonna feel like crap.
Yeah, I like that. So something I don't know about y'all, but here lately, so I've got an elk and I've been trying to cut it up and get it all set up, but I've been going to bed super late. But Britt's already in bed. She's already asleep. TV's off and I don't want to wake her up. So I take my shower, I go lay down, go right to sleep. I don't wake up one time throughout the night. But on nights that I kind of play on my phone a little bit, or if we like watch a little bit of Netflix before we go to sleep, something like that, I tend to wake up a lot more, like 2 or 3 times throughout the night. I remember I had a nutritionist lady and I was telling her, I was like, yeah, I get up, a couple times throughout the night to go pee. And she was like, yeah, I hope you have to pee within an 8-hour window. But what she was getting at was, yeah, but it's not normal for you to wake up to have to go, like, to go to the bathroom to go pee. The problem is that you're in such a light sleep that whenever you do wake up or you do have that sensation of having to pee, that you're in such a light sleep because of sleep habits or habits before bed, that it wakes you up and you go, oh, I got to get up because I have to pee.
You don't just pee the bed?
Not to say I haven't.
Start bottle.
No. Yeah. I got a Gatorade bottle off to the side.
Chug it in the morning when you wake up.
I mean, obviously, you got to.
What is that dude's name? Bear Grylls or whatever that was name is.
If you want good recovery, you got to make sacrifices.
You get sterile. I like the taste.
Willing to do what others don't want to do.
Consistency too.
Like drink your own urine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be like sleep habits, and because it's easy to say, hey, just get more sleep. You know what I mean? But I think the habits before bed is what's going to make the biggest changes. Yeah. At least that's what I've noticed for me.
Yeah, I think 2 hours prior to bed, you should be off your phone or off TV because the blue light definitely.
So that's really hard. So what do you do
just
2 hours before bed?
Turn all the lights off in your house and just walk around with a candle?
I mean.
Yes, that's what it feels like.
No, I mean, dude, you put your phone down, you have a conversation with people you live with, your spouse, or you read a book. You could do some, like, we've gotten too tied to computers and that like kids don't even know how to write.
I agree. Well, Yeah.
Like, they don't like.
I struggled writing, but yeah. But, I agree with you. We are leaning into screens way too much. I've heard that before about the 2 hours before, and it's just like, yeah, just eat 100% on your diet, work out daily, and never lose motivation.
I mean, those are simple rules, and then
Cool.
you'll be healthy as hell.
I'm also a fucking cyborg, and I don't have thoughts or feelings. No, I see what that's saying, because that does make sense, because the 2 hours prior, you do have a lot of stimulation, and the stimulation does keep you up at night and keeps your brain going and stuff like that. But I think there are other ways around it. Like, and this isn't a fix in a way of like, if you do this, then you don't have to do that. But like orange screens, you can set your phone to do night mode. The blue blocker glasses, I started wearing mine last night. Again, I haven't wore those in forever. Now that I don't have glasses or contacts, I can actually wear them. But blue blockers, I was talking to a member the other day, and they said they had this orange paper that you put behind lights for like photography stuff. He cut those and put them over their monitor once it gets a certain time in the day, like it gets like 8 o'clock at night. They put the orange over their computer monitor so they can keep working. It's not a fix in a way of like this fixes all, but I mean, we're in the 21st century. Mm-hmm. It's like we don't live in the woods anymore, so it's really hard to say 2 hours before go, because ideally orange light, you need to be sitting by a fire, you need to have, go stare at the sun as it's setting, and I mean like literally eyes wide open, just like staring. No, getting orange light into your eyes, like those things are going to be super beneficial, but we don't live in that world. Like I was listening to something, this guy was saying they have lamps in their house that have orange light bulbs in it, and they turn them all on at night. And I'm like, dude, do you know how many fucking lights I'd have to change in order to do that? One, they're all like the LED lights, so I don't even know how, like, you can't change a lot of mine because they're the inserts into the house. So I don't even know what to do for that. Mm-hmm. But it's like that. Sorry. It's like, don't play on your phone, don't watch TV, stare at a wall.
Well, I guess.
You know what I mean? Well, I see it, but it's like, I feel like that's such an extreme to change your whole life.
There are simpler things that you can do before trying to like switch your lights at home every single day.
I mean, if you got ideas, throw them out there. That's why I was bringing that up.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't necessarily consider that as one of the basic things to do, mm-hmm. right? Like the light thing. I mean, if anything, if really you want to go along with that, light color thing, you could have, your main lights that are like, the white, normal white lights, ones, and then you could have, and not use those after a certain time of the day, and you could have in each room like one or two standing like stand-up lamps, mm-hmm. With a yellow bulb, and then you just use those after a certain time of the day.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I feel like I sleep pretty well. And most night, if not every single night, I'm on my phone before I go to sleep. And the way I avoid waking up to pee is I just
electrolytes.
Just drink electrolytes instead of just normal water before I go to bed. And I also just don't like drink like a gallon of water
I do
right before I go to bed.
4 of these. No, I'm just kidding. I really don't.
And then I think also another thing is like to sleep well is like avoid stressful situations. So I know that nowadays we're like everybody's super busy with their job, and everybody is like so career oriented that work becomes even more important than yourself or your quality of life. And then not saying that it's if that's your thing, then I respect that, but it will have consequences on your health, that's for sure. And so just try to live a stress-free life, and you'll sleep so much better.
Yeah. Like, Carlos, do you do not no screens or anything 2 hours before bed?
Oh, I'm not good with it at all. Like, the biggest thing for me that I changed was removing electronics completely out of my room. And living with people and having housemates for a while, not having your own place, you kind of have your room becomes your own place. But as couples and members have their own homes and your own space, you have a TV room and all that stuff. Your bedroom should be specifically for sex and for sleep.
Yeah.
There should there should be nothing in it, because you create habits, and no one's saying like, being realistic, saying, hey, change all your light bulbs, make your room 58 degrees, blackout shades, and like you're not going to do
people
all that.
Are saying that. People, that's what I was getting at. Was like that extreme. People are like, here's all the optimal things. Go home and do it.
You can do it just one at a time. Like it'd be like you coming in the gym and be like, okay, I'm going to snatch 200. I'm going to clean 315. I'm going to back squat 405, and I can do backflips. Like, you're not going to do all that. I don't care how gifted you are. Like, so just finding something you can do.
I was able to do that. I'm pretty damn gifted then. No,
I'm just kidding. You can do backflips and 405.
No, I think that analogy is a little different, because that's kind of like goal oriented, but like I think it's like I feel like it's a this or nothing conversation.
With anything that is going in, like when people are like, it's this or nothing, realistically, that's not like it's taken me 8 years of knowing I've had to do this, and then finally making the steps to just be one thing at a time. It was the laptop, because I always grew up in college with my laptop in my room. So I've always watched TV or DVDs and stuff. I got that out of my room. Then I started watching my phone. I was like, get the phone out. And all this whole time I've known the Wi-Fi, the cell phone signal is not healthy for your sleep. Like there's tons of studies out there with of those interfering with their sleep cycles. Knowing that, I still kept it. So it was a gradual process, and I have no problem now just leaving that in. And I took Britta's advice on sleep. Like, if I can't fall asleep within 15 minutes, I get up.
Yeah.
Go out of my room.
That's super important. I don't do that, but I've heard that numerous times.
Because I'll just keep thinking.
If you're just kind of down that rabbit hole of just like mind is racing, get out of your bed. So like I did like you in college. I took the TV out of my room, and then it made a habit to where I'd lay down, and people were like, "You don't have problems." So I'd fall asleep immediately.
Yeah.
And it was because I didn't have that. But now I have that. Like when I lay down, it's so interesting how like you get into like habits and
you
stuff
go right
like that.
back. It's like you never lost
just
it.
Don't even like get back into an old habit. It's just like it's wild how easy it is to get into a routine. Like every time I lay down in bed now, my first thought is, "Where's the remote?" Like it makes no sense. I'm like, if the TV's off when we go into our bedroom, it's always turn the TV on, turn the light off so we have light from the TV, lay down, watch some TV. Britt always falls asleep before me. I kind of finish watching whatever, turn it off, and go to bed. But then I just kind of race. Brain just kind of keeps going. But it is interesting like how you get into that. The focus option on iPhones now, I think is pretty cool. I have that set to 9:30 every night. It says like go to sleep. And my phone shuts off. Like it shuts off all notifications, so I don't get any. And sometimes I have to turn that off because I'm like in the middle of a conversation with like someone from the gym or like one of you guys, or if I'm doing something, I'll be like, man, I haven't heard from them in a while, and I like pick my phone up and I open it, and it's like, oh shit, I had 6 missed text messages and 3 missed calls or something.
It's good because you also get it on your watch. And
it turns it off on my watch.
Oh, good.
So like they're linked up. So whenever I set my phone to sleep, it sets my watch to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I have to like wake my watch up in order to use my watch. And I have it set to where my phone sets to wake up at 10 a.m. So like between 9:30 p.m. and 10 a.m., I get 0 notifications, like alerts, unless I open my phone and see it. Like it's still there, but it just doesn't alert me and my screen's black.
Yeah, you're just taking small steps. I think anything, I used to like doing things cold turkey or just changing. Like I remember one person being like, you have an addictive personality. You just go from one extreme to another. I'm like,
well, I do too.
I'm like, not really. I was like, just because you don't see me at the bar every Friday night doesn't mean I quit drinking. Right. I just prioritized. I loved CrossFit and stuff like that. But I feel like you just got to take, it's like coming to the gym. The first step is just come to the gym.
Yeah. I just think but my point for the conversation we're having with the 2 hour is I feel like that is such an extreme. And I feel like it's like,
oh, I don't do it at all. Like it's so hard because I just want to veg out after because I love what we do.
That's what people want to hear is that.
Yeah. It's
because when we say, just don't do this and do that, and it's like, what do you do? Don't worry about what I do, but this is what it's like. No, what do we do to combat that? Like ideally, this is the perfect scenario. Wake up early. The first 30 minutes, get sunlight in your eyes. Go for a walk. Go stand outside.
There's no
right. So I was listening to something. It was Andrew Huberman was talking about that. He said, just turn on all your bright white lights in your room to get as much light into your eyes. And as soon as the sun comes up, go outside and get 30 minutes of sun, because then that starts the chemical reaction in your brain and all that different stuff throughout the day. And then at night, you need 30 minutes before the sun goes down. Right. But it's all this like perfect scenario that none of us do, but I'm like, we're just always preaching it to people. Here's your perfect scenario. Go home and do it.
We all have different boxes, right? Our lives are all designed differently.
Yes.
Like I like routine, and like when we switch our schedules around, I still try to go to bed early and wake up at 5.
Yeah, which is fine.
But then I've adjusted to the point where like, I stay up 2 hours a little later and sleep in. And I found that I don't like it. I'm not as productive. So I think you can take whatever advice we give you, whether it's very on the strict side and discipline side, like Adrian sometimes makes it really just simple, rather than overcomplicating it, to just try something. And the biggest thing is being consistent. Like you can't spend the past 20 years of your life doing something negative in habit and change it in 15 days or 21 days or even 30. Like if
some people can.
Yeah. Some people can.
Well, I'm saying some people can, but the majority of society, this is why we still have jobs. If people can just follow through with things, no matter what comes in life, you would achieve your goals with health and wellness. I mean, we wouldn't have obesity epidemics. We wouldn't have giant, drastic heart issues and stuff like that. We still have them, but it wouldn't be as big as it is.
It's just like on cigarette boxes is like, don't smoke cigarettes because they cause cancer, and people still do. You know what I mean? Like we all make decisions that we know aren't good. But what I was getting at with kind of bringing it all back to the recovery, like Adrian, were you going to say something to that before I?
Sure.
Adrian's very polite and doesn't like to cut people off, so he'll go,
I'm getting better at
and then say nothing. So I was like, Adrian, what were you going to say?
No, I just wanted to like bring in kind of a counter argument, saying that even though that's not how most people may do it, there's also nothing wrong with going cold turkey. And I also want to say that there's nothing wrong with, doing all the things that we mentioned, even though most people may see it as
extreme.
Like, yes, extreme, and like, My point of view is more go as extreme as be as granular as you want, as long as you don't make what you're trying to do a source of stress. If it comes naturally, there's nothing wrong with doing it. Like, do as much, extreme things as you want. But now if it does become a source of stress, then there's no point, right? And that relates to like food or sleep habits or really anything, right? Because like if basically you do like everything you're supposed to do, whether it's for food or for sleep, for example, but then you're like in bed like a minute after the sun goes down, but the whole process was so stressful that you still can't sleep, then there's no point. There's no point in doing it. But now if the only thing to have an amazing night of sleep, the only thing you need is to just eat a certain thing or at a certain time, or whether it's like one thing like room temperature or blackout curtains or anything like that, just find whatever works for you. And if it's like a whole bunch of things and you want to be extreme, as long as it's not a source of stress, then I would say be my guest.
And I wasn't trying to shit on any of doing the extreme stuff, kind of what you're saying, Carlos. It was just kind of like you were saying, like try to be in bed 2 hours before, or try not to be on your phone and those kinds of things. But it's like kind of like, okay, so what's a way that we could? Because for me, and I do have this bad habit of like, this is how I think. I think most people think this way, but it's not. That's not the case.
And that's all right though. But
it's not the case. But what I was going to say with that was like, okay, so for me, setting my phone to that. Trying to do the dark curtains in the bedroom, trying not to get on my phone before bed. Like those kinds of things really help me sleep a lot better, and I end up recovering a lot better.
Yeah, I'm just going with, I'm not biased. I'm going on years of training people, tons of 150 paleo challenges with tons of clients. And those 30 days of everyone being strict, the sustainability on all of them, everyone in my experience puts on all the weight, that they lost. Mm-hmm. And they haven't changed any of their habits. Yeah. But for that 30 days, they did it really good.
It's
so
just
this is
such a hard swing.
Well, and that's why I was always gung-ho on, like, you have to do this. Like, if you want, like, dude, I had Italian clients, like, I'm like, cut out the pasta. I'm Italian. I can't do that. And it was just, you're constantly fighting them. And it's just, you have to kind of let them have.
He's Italian.
Yeah, but you have to let them make the decision.
Yeah.
Right? You can't, like, that's why I don't go the full extreme. And I'm like, if anything, I'm saying one step at a time. I'm not saying it's wrong to go extreme because I like that. I like doing that. Like, I gave up alcohol and cannabis like that to help my sleep and not be dependent on that stuff. And I feel great. Do I miss, like, when I'll go have a drink? I'll still go hang out with you. I don't have to drink.
Right.
Right. And then people are like, well, do you have a drinking problem? No, I barely drink as it is. I really just wanted to see how
you just recognize the poison that you are putting in your body, and it's not worth putting that back into your body consistently.
Yeah, and I just want, dude, as you get older, your recovery, like, I wanted to see how good a shape I can get in with just doing things that, like, honestly, I'm over. I don't need to go to bars and stay out till 2 a.m. Like, it's just not appealing to me.
Right.
And I don't have a problem with saying no to that. Now, is someone that's like 20, like, one of the dudes here, I'm like, he's like, yeah, I get like blacked out drunk. And like, he's 26. You think I'm going to tell him to quit drinking? And he looked at me like, oh, I do it like once a month. I'm like, all right, it's up to you. I was like, that's still having a negative impact on you. But hey, at least you're not doing it every weekend.
Right.
All right. So I look at, like, the important thing is taking tiny steps.
Yeah.
And that this is just, again, my opinion. If you're one of those people that can take that big chunk of something and do it, yeah, I agree with Adrian 100%. It's taboo and it's looked at as like you're nuts, but it's not nuts to get drunk every night and smoke cigarettes when you're gonna kill yourself.
Yeah.
Like, so, and there's nothing wrong with being a gym rat. Like, dude, I loved when I'm being called. Like, I love being in the gym. I love working out. I love talking to people and helping people.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that gets like a negative
it really
image on it. And like, and how Adrian.
Call it fit shaming.
Yeah. Or like what he views is like, oh, you're just like militant. Like, it's just that easy and this. And it's like, no, I mean, when you step back and think about it, it kind of is if you want to do it.
Yeah. I think something to remember is that everybody's different. Everybody comes from different backgrounds. Everybody thinks differently. Everybody approaches things differently. So like whenever someone says something like, hey, you need to cut all of your alcohol drinking cold turkey, some people are like, no, I can't. It's because they're not willing to make the sacrifice of that. It's just like, hey.
Some people just enjoy it too.
There was a podcast I was listening to, and the guy was explaining, this is kind of off subject, on subject. He was explaining eating, and he was comparing it to financials. So he was saying financials for those wealthy people out there. He was saying that whenever you're overweight or you're trying to lose weight of whatever it is, like even if you don't, like if it's like 10 pounds, whatever, if you're just trying to lose weight or if you have certain goals, he compared it to someone. He said, let's say they make $1 billion a year and they buy $100,000 jacket.
I saw this.
Yeah. And it was like, it was on the Huberman Labs podcast. And he was like, I just thought it was perfect. But anyway, he was like, if you make $1 billion a year and you buy $100,000 jacket, that's not a big deal. You know what I mean? In the grand scheme, you're not making a big dent into your $1 billion a year that you're making. Now, if you make say $100,000 a year and you buy a $10,000 jacket, that was what it was, $10,000, not a $100,000 jacket. He said $10,000 jacket compared to the billion. And then he said, let's say you make $100,000 a year and you buy a $10,000 jacket. That is a huge purchase for someone who makes that amount of money. And you could go even less, $60,000 a year, whatever. It doesn't matter. But you get the idea. So if you're someone that's trying to lose weight, to have cheat meals and to have food like every other day and those kinds of things, you can't afford to have that. Oh. So if you're someone who is optimal body weight, like you feel good, all your health markers in range, all those kinds, you're performing well in whatever you're doing, running, biking, CrossFit, whatever it is, then you can afford those random splurges, like how we go on Saturdays and eat tons of pancakes and stuff from whatever. We can afford that because we put in the work throughout the week in order to make that happen. But let's say I'm 50 pounds overweight. I can't afford that. So I thought that was an interesting way of looking at it. So like I said, it's kind of off subject, on subject. I think with the sleep thing, just so we can wrap that one up, because I feel like we can make a whole podcast about sleep, there's different things that you can do in order to enhance your sleep. And I think the routines and habits that you do before bed is what is going to make the biggest difference.
Yes.
And that's what I think you were trying to get at with the 2 hours thing. I think it's just pulling yourself away from your phone, off your screen will help. Even though, Adrian, you said it doesn't bother you, it will help. Like, no matter what.
Yeah, even if you do a half hour.
You're literally playing on a thing that's flashing in your face that is designed to make you want to stay on it. Like if you're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, playing a video game, any of those things are looking for screen time from you. It's literally designed to keep you on there. So whenever you do shut it off, your brain is still partially thinking about still being on that phone. Yeah, that's why TikTok is so addictive.
They have neuroscientists that did all their things on the brain.
So if we're doing things, so like not even just phones, but like Netflix, watching TV, any of those things are designed to try to keep you without shutting it off, because
stimulated.
Yeah, they're very stimulated. So the less stimulating things that you can do within an hour to 2 hours pre-bed, the better. The more you're going to sleep, the higher your hormones are going to be in the positive ways, the better your just overall chemical balance is going to be, which is going to make you feel better and perform better, think better, be able to not feel so tired at work and all those different things.
Yeah, you're going to miss it at first, and it's going to feel like you're anxious and stuff. That's why I said, like, hey, if you do that every night, 7 days a week, maybe 3 days a week you start with.
Yeah, or exactly. Right, try it a couple times a week to see, because unless you're someone that can cold turkey cut it off, which there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's awesome that people can do that. I used to be able to do that with certain things. I used to be able to just be like, nope, I'm done. But for whatever reason over the years, I've just gotten soft.
But I also think one, too, from like the Huberman lab that I've kind of just really, that Lane, Lane Rob, what's his last name?
I can't remember. But yeah.
I've listened to
that podcast.
That suggestion, like if you believe what you're doing will work, it will work. If you're
where he's talking about the placebo effect,
the steroids and the creatine when he told.
The placebo effect is nuts.
So, like, if you truly don't believe in anything that advice we're giving you, and then you're going to try it probably isn't going to work. You have to buy in.
I don't. Did I say it on a previous podcast?
Yeah, I think with the 4 people, one was told they were taking creatine, but they weren't. One was told they were taking it, but were given a sugar pill. One was told they weren't taking it.
Yeah, it
and
was.
The third was they're
2 people
taking
were told,
it, but they're not taking it.
Yes.
All of them had whatever they suggested they were doing. If you got it, you had an increase.
So like if I told this person, hey, you're taking creatine, and they weren't, they saw positive results.
Yes.
If I told someone they weren't taking creatine but they didn't see positive results. Whatever they were told, granted.
And they believed what they were told. So like you're believing, like
yes.
if I know creatine gives me strength and I believe that, and even though I'm not taking it, it has a positive effect.
That's
so
not to say creatine doesn't do anything, but it is, yes, very much placebo. If you're doing this like, all right, I'll do it, but I don't think it's going to do anything, it's probably not. But if you look into whatever you're trying to change and think, okay, this is a positive impact on my health, my performance, my everyday life, then it probably will be a positive.
Like believe in what you're doing, and that's the only advice I get. Believe in what you're doing and give it time, because we want instant gratification as humans, and I'm guilty of it 100%. And I have to remind myself, you're gonna have a fall off. It's like, can you get back up and do it? Don't give up on what you're trying to accomplish. Right. Whether it's you want to improve your sleep for recovery, you want to increase your protein consumption for recovery. If you fall off, get back on. Don't just give up. Like keep trying and believe in yourself and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Regardless of what anyone else tells you.
So I think sleep should be something that you very much do prioritize. I would say 1-on-1 with nutrition to try to help out with recovery. Just because they both do play so much hand in hand to your everyday. The last couple things I think are just kind of fringe things. Stretching is very important because it does keep your muscles loose, because whenever you do work out, it does create knots and it does create tension, because that's the goal, is to build muscle whenever you're lifting, or just to build strength. So you're shortening the levers by constantly flexing them. So it does... not levers, but you're shortening the fibers, I guess, by constantly flexing them. So getting them stretched and lengthened can help on feeling good throughout your joints and those things, and to keep you moving well. Just like whenever you're trying to snatch and your overhead mobility is really tight for the day, it's really hard to get it back into a good position. So I think it can help, obviously. spending 5 to 10 minutes. Most people, after they finish class, they just dip right out, go hop in their car and leave. There's nothing wrong with that if you're in a hurry, but if you got a 5-minute window to just pick a body part per day. Monday, I'm going to stretch my quads and butt. Tuesday, I'm going to stretch my lats. Wednesday, I'm going to foam roll my back, or something like that. And you just literally pick 5 minutes alone, do a minute to 2 minute stretch per group that you're trying to stretch, and then call it good. That goes a lot further than nothing.
Stretching, and then I like in within that is communication with the staff and coaches, because something that's bothering you for 6 months, you're like, it's fine. One is we can give you some stretches or give you some release or some advice, and then for me, I give it like a 14-day window, 7 days if it's progressively getting better. Okay, you can keep doing. Let's avoid things that hurt. But if it's not, you need to go see a PT, a chiropractor, someone to get you right.
Right.
Because that's going to become a long-term issue. So I think chatting with us, we can give you.
Yeah, if you have nagging injuries or if you have nagging something and you don't know what to do, for sure talk to one of us because we can help. But I mean, like you said earlier, keep it simple. The simple stretches do make a big difference. I think the other stuff like ice baths, saunas. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of like jumping around right now, but
Epsom salt bath.
Yeah, you've been doing that a lot lately. I think
he does like 18 cups of Epsom salt, so he's buoyant.
I soak myself.
Floats.
That stuff is, dude.
In the Dead Sea.
Yeah,
I recreate a Dead Sea in my bathroom.
I mean,
the water plant's like, what the?
It's relaxing for him.
He started draining the Salt Lake. Anyway,
it's relaxing, and it's a quick way for you if you're
de-stressor.
magnesium deficient. You're absorbing the magnesium and stuff from that, and it's really healthy. Like I used to do that all the time after competitions.
Listen, I would love to take baths. I
You
just
know,
don't fit. Ever.
Dude, you just gotta do. You gotta do torso first with the legs out, and then sit in.
That's exactly how it goes.
I don't have that problem.
Yeah, it sucks. But no, I think that's good to know because a lot of people don't know that. Like hot showers followed by cold, or just cold showers, or Epsom salt baths, stuff like that. I think it's very important because it does help you de-stress, like you were saying earlier, Adrian. I think that the stress thing is very important. The more you can de-stress, the better. And
like when it comes to like the ski season and working out and the weather, like it's getting colder, listen to your body. Like, dude, I went boarding on Snowbird's opening day on Friday, and I got only 6 runs, and I got home and I felt like a Mack truck hit me. I didn't go work out.
Yeah.
I took a nice nap.
Yeah, I think that's very CrossFit-y type of thing to feel like you need to work out before or after you go, skiing or snowboarding.
Yes, I agree.
Because I used to ski a lot when I was a kid, and like obviously we would ski from like opening to like close of the resort. So it'd be the full day, so we wouldn't even have time to work out. But like, just know that skiing or snowboarding is a workout, and not saying that you shouldn't necessarily do like a CrossFit workout in addition to that, but
know that it's okay to not go in and kill yourself. Like you were saying earlier, like thinking about today's workout and then going and skiing tomorrow or even today, it's like you're literally just asking to be injured.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to a member the other day, and they're saying that this is the first day up, and it was the very end of their run, and they're like all their friends were like, hey, let's do this really steep one, and they caught like their ski and fell for like 3 minutes straight, and finally like someone had to dive on them to stop them. And it was
She's a skier, right?
Yeah. And they like messed up their knee or hurt their something, and they're like, it was dumb. But it was just like, it's like you're super fatiguing yourself, and then you're doing something very dangerous potentially. No matter how good of a skier or snowboarder you are, you got to remember that.
A funny thing is that when like you don't realize, often you don't realize how hard you work when you do like sports. Just because you're paying attention to like other things and how much fun you're having.
Oh yeah.
But I bet that if you were to do the exact same thing inside the gym, it would be like, bro, that was such a rough workout, right?
Yeah, and you're at 4,000 to 6,000 feet higher up in elevation.
Yeah.
So your body's working extra hard just to pump blood.
So this ski season, remember that. that it's okay to not go in and work out the day you go ski or snowboard. And if you're going for like a day, like if you're going up for like an hour or two, it's a little different, I guess. But
no, yeah, like you just, again, with recovery, it kind of comes a full circle of tons of things we've talked about.
Look at that as literally like you're doing 2 workouts. Like you're not just going in and taking an hour class and then going to go on like and sit on your couch. Like you're literally doing a multiple workout a day that day. So it's like you're stretching, your sleep really needs to be on point. You need to eat more to make sure you got that recovery. Like you need to hydrate because you are at a higher elevation in a dry climate. Make sure you're hydrating a lot more with your electrolytes and salt and stuff like that. Make sure you're getting plenty of that, because if you're not, you're asking for injury.
And then also like your effort at the gym. It doesn't mean, like, I know some people have a hard time of understanding like you don't
Pulling
have
back.
to go full send.
I have a hard time with that, but yes.
Like, yes, I'm competitive and I want to win, but there's days where like I may not even try to beat or just try to compete to get that score. I'm not willing to put myself in the ground where then the rest of my week's ruined or I get hurt. I've learned that with CrossFit, and I've also learned that with being in the mountains is you got to listen to your body. Like if you're like, it's so much fun, but like you start falling all the time and you're not feeling when you're riding.
I think it's learning. I feel like that listen to your body. Like we went and did a seminar this weekend, and that was the big takeaway that everybody got was listen to your body. It was talking about pregnancy and postpartum stuff. And I was just like, the listening to your body thing is like, my body feels great. This is normal. But like you were saying, if you're falling a lot, if you're starting to like stumble and
like I'm not saying like your body is like, oh, like very simple things. Like the one day if I'm missing snatches and it's really light and I'm off and the squats just don't feel right.
Yeah, those are cues.
Those are cues for you to be like, okay, should I snatch today or should I pull back? Right? Because I can visualize and I give you advice, but I'm not going to tell you can't do it. It's the same thing when you're in the mountains. Like I rode for 2 hours. I'm going through tree lines, right? And this is how I blew out my MCL. And I was falling. I fell like 6 times. I just caught my edge, and I wasn't feeling right. And I did another run, and I got caught in a semi-slough, which is just like a mini ab that takes you down and put me right into a tree.
Yeah,
I didn't need to be there.
Right.
So that's what I kind of mean.
Question.
But did you remember to shred?
Oh, dude.
He did that first.
I shredded.
The first thing he did.
I weaved and shredded through those trees.
Did you shred in the mini av?
No, you want to know?
Clearly not. It slammed him into a tree.
No, dude, you want to know what I did? I watched a video, and it was like, if you do get caught in this, flip to your stomach and you try to grab the ground. Yeah, no, I like being on my back better, and I didn't see the tree, and I was on my stomach, and it just tomahawked me, and it spun, and that's the tree where
Where were you boarding at?
Solitude. There's a back end of a honeycomb chair. It's tight knit trees, and then there's an opening that comes down. It's like a 35, 40 degree angle.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And it was just an opening, and I got taken like.
I was like, man.
It wasn't even like heavy. It wasn't like crazy. It was just enough snow to take me, and I had no control.
Gotcha.
And yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like learning to read signs like that rather than saying like, I do what you're saying, like listen to your body, because those are things you need to listen to or just notice. Like, so if you're in the gym and it's a day like we are doing snatches and you're like, man, my front, like we were snatching last week and you're like, man, my shoulders are just tight. And you just stayed light. You kept pulling back to like 95 pounds. For you, it's light. And kept lifting that, where I went up because I was feeling good. So it's like listening to what's going on rather than just trying to add more. For the workouts, if you haven't noticed, I've been putting in the cardio workouts. I've had a bunch of people tell me like, hey, I don't feel like I can handle this workout today. I'm just going to do the cardio stuff. Cool. Go hard, whatever.
That keeps them coming in the gym. That's awesome.
Yeah. But I think it's good because now you're starting to understand, like, you're not just dipping out like, oh, that looks hard, I'm not going to do that because I just don't want to do that. But it's kind of like, yeah, if you're feeling tired, beat, whatever, go do some just cardio on the machines and get a good sweat, get your heart rate up, call it a day. That's okay too. I think those things for recovery are very important because too often do we feel like we have to do what's written on the board because it's what's written on the board. Not to say that, because I try to write the programming in a way that you can do every day. Like I was listening to something recently saying like percentage work, like squatting, to percent stuff shouldn't be in a CrossFit gym. I was listening to that recently, and the reason why they were saying was because the percentages, let's say it's 80% and you can only hit 70% for that day. And you're like, no, I have to do 80. That's where injury kind of comes from. That's where like ego comes from and blah, blah, blah. But if it's like use RPE, which is a rate of perceived exhaustion.
Exhaustion.
Yeah. Or exertion. I think it could be that. But it's like 1 to 10, 10 being as hard as the hardest thing you've ever done, 1 being nothing. So it's like 7 to 8. And it's like, well, to me, that's so arbitrary. A lot of new people don't really know what that means.
No idea what a 7.
I've never used that.
I don't even think some people
I use that on machines.
Like on the bike, you do it one time.
Right.
I got that totally
right.
wrong.
That's okay. So I'll use it on the machines because I feel like that's kind of like a little more understanding than weight. So if it's like, lift with an RPE of 6 to 7 today on today's squats. I always say like moderate to moderate light. Even that's still arbitrary to the point where it's like I don't know what that means. But percentages, I try to route the programming to where if I write percentages, it makes sense that you can still do that. So it's like if we did thrusters on Monday, wall balls on Tuesday, I'm not going to write like 5x5 back squats at 85% because it's like I know what we did the previous 2 days to where that's not going to be a thing. So I might write 5x5 back squat, use 75, say 70 to 75% because I know that that's what most people will hit. And if you feel good, go a little bit heavier. But I think with what's on the board, don't think you have to do what's on the board.
I think the percentages is just a good target. And I think to say that you shouldn't use them is a lack of the gym owners and coaches to explain it, because I think we do a good job. Not everyone's hitting those numbers, but if you feel good, why not? No, I don't think I see, and we have a lot of competitive and strong people. You know what I mean? And then you have some really new people that most likely aren't even getting to those percentages, but they have an idea.
Which is fine. Yeah, and it's totally fine if they don't get to those percentages. I've had people be like, oh, I hit my 1 rep for 5 today. And I'm like, well, all right, that's not your 1 rep, but okay. But I like it. But that was their previous, they're new, whatever. But no, I hope that we kind of touched on a few recovery things that you guys can kind of implement today. I think doing the prioritizing protein in your nutrition first and then kind of going down from there. If you can cut it cold turkey and go for it, awesome. I think that's great because you'll get the quickest benefits now. That's like in 6 months. 6 months is going to be here.
Or do cold turkey in like portions, like 30 days you do protein, then the next 30 days you're going to add in your sleep, and then the next 30 days.
Right, but what I was saying was like a lot of people will think of, oh, that's too hard, I can't do that. But know that in 30 days will be here.
Yeah.
So know that it's coming no matter what. So if you start today cold turkey, you're going to be that much further ahead. But if you wait and you're like, okay, in a month, I'll go ahead and do this in a month. But if you're that kind of person that can't implement change in your routine immediately, then try to do it slowly. Like we talked about, a couple times a week, change whatever that thing is. Sleep, try to make more habits to having better sleep. For me, if I stretch and roll out before bed, I sleep a lot harder. If I tried weighted blankets and I just felt like I was fighting the blanket the whole night.
Dude, I got screwed up.
I did a sauna really close to bed a couple times and I just sweated the whole night. And it was like, okay, well, lesson learned. I need to make sure I do a good cool down after I get out of the sauna. So now right now it's freezing. So I sit outside until I start shivering. Then I go inside and take a shower and go to bed. If I do an ice bath too close to bed and I don't get warmed up, then I freeze the whole night and I'm just like shivering, waking up throughout the whole night, sleeping. So it's just small stuff that you can trial and error to see if it works. And like Carlos said, I like the idea of 7 days. Like try it for 7 to 14 days. And if you see any kind of a positive, awesome, keep at it. But if you see negatives and nothing's changing, don't change it or go back. Stretching and stuff, I think hitting that a couple times throughout the week on certain problem areas, spend 5 minutes. Like you're going to waste that 5 minutes stopping at stoplights anyway on the way home. Might as well just go ahead and foam roll it and it's okay. Now you're another 5 minutes away from home. But you guys got anything else that
I would say start now. Don't wait till the new year. Holidays or Monday.
Monday is fine.
Monday's the best day. But yeah.
Like if you want to do something, just start it.
Yeah.
Because if you continually kind of put a date or I'm going to do this next month or New Year's resolution, you're not going to do it. So and that's just my opinion.
I hope that helps with recovery stuff. Good conversation today, fellas.
Yeah.
Also, drink lots of water. I feel we kind of skipped that one.
Yeah.
That's an obvious one.
Yeah.
Just a quick reminder.
Yes.
Lots
of water with electrolytes.
What would you recommend? Like a gallon walking around with, just a water bottle?
I think consistently sipping throughout the day.
Cool.
Yeah. because it makes that, because a lot of people will get like their gallon with their marks on it and stuff, and then by the end of the day, like, fuck, I gotta drink half a gallon of water now and have to go to bed.
I think all of us have roughly around like 20 to 30 ounces in our bottles, so something along those lines that you can refill.
And just in habits with that. So like create a habit where you constantly feel yourself grabbing for your water to drink.
And if you've got a job where you're always on doing something, nurses, doctors, attorneys, whatever you do, I don't have enough time. Just put a reminder on your watch for like every hour. It just beeps water
or something.
Cool.
Yeah,
like just a reminder.
Yeah, cool. All right, good conversation today, guys.
Cool.
All right. Later.
Bye-bye.
Peace.